Hello there, fellow summoners. Mad Dog HT here, and I'm gonna show my results from Season 12 Battlegrounds. So we've done Battlegrounds for the last year. For solo, I got in the top 1 to 2,000. For Gladiator Circuit, I got in top 1,000, which was like Quantum 3. And then our Alliance overall got 77th, so we got top 100. And I'm going to pick out some of the rewards, open some of them, and just kind of talk to you about my experience with Battlegrounds, how I play it, how I go about doing my business. So like for me, Battlegrounds, some might not. And if you don't like my opinion, feel free to comment in the comments or whatever. But don't take any offense to this, but I treat Battlegrounds almost like it's the same thing as Arena. It isn't, to me, any very much more fun than doing Arena. Here we're hoping for a 6-star relic dupe. We didn't get it. We got a Winter Soldier. Not the best, but yeah, I treat it like Arena. There's rewards in it. You gotta be playing it. You gotta be grinding it to get the rewards. And I just really don't take it much more than that. And I try to have some fun with it. I do also try to have fun in Arena, which some people might do what? But I try to do some interesting things, and I try to mix up some matchups and stuff like that to make the fights more interesting, and try to test stuff instead of just like smashing through everything. But here we're gonna open up a 6-star, and I'll keep talking. I have a whole bunch of, you might say, like, why is this video almost 40 minutes long? It's because I'm gonna showcase a champ that pretty much everybody had, probably even max rank, and nobody used. I end up getting an Elsa from my 6-star basic pool, which is pretty good. I only had 2 skilled champs. On a 7 stars, I got a Killmonger and a Falcon, so this is welcomed. Elsa is a good champ. But yeah, so there's gonna be timestamps, so you can jump to anything and everything you want to see, or leave if you need to leave. Yeah, so this season, you know, the rewards were pretty good. They baked in extra rewards with all of, like, the solo milestones and the alliance milestones and stuff like that. And so generally I try to hit all of the milestones with the solo, and try to do that as efficiently as possible. And I'll talk to you about how I go about doing that. Some people may or not like it or agree with it or whatever, but I think Kabam's system for Battlegrounds is quite broken, and I'm going to play it to maximize how much rewards I get out of it for the time that I put into it. Because while some people do so much Battlegrounds, which is totally fine, I like to just make sure that I'm doing a little bit of everything in every game mode so that I can maximize my rewards. And that's fun to me. So you can see my catalyst. I have enough for a mutant. I'm getting close to enough to take a rank 2 Cosmic and Mystic. I'm trying to do more rank 2 7 stars versus 6 stars to rank 5 if I can. I have tons of tier 6B and tier 3 alpha that I've been saving. Probably be making informed decisions once we get through Cyber. Here was my deck. So you can check out my deck. This is the deck that I pretty much had for I think this was actually the deck for the victory track, and I didn't capture my deck for the Gladiator Circuit. But you can see here, I played 223 matches, and I document at least this much information for all my matches played. So I have played in 1 year 2,413 matches. And for this season, I played a different game. I played a different strategy. As you know, they came out and said, hey, you can't farm points, you can't stay in the victory track forever and win some and lose some and have a 2-star deck and stuff like that. Some of those things I have done in the past to try to maximize my time and my Elder's Marks and energy. But this season, I did it a little bit different. They said we couldn't farm, and that was at the beginning of the season. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna play really, really slow. And I went through the victory track undefeated. Didn't lose a single match. And how did I go about doing that? And I think I'm not sure that these screenshots are going to show every single one. I think generally they show most of them, but I won every match, and I just played the minimum 3 matches a day, and I tried to play those matches at the latest possible time, going, ending that second day. You might say, well, why would you do that? Well, as you know, on YouTube, there are a lot of YouTubers that love Battlegrounds. Bless their hearts, love them all. They are, in my mind, BG junkies, and they just play tons of Battlegrounds. And those guys go through victory track in a day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever. They get through it really fast. They get into the circuit, and then they're fighting everybody that are just like themselves, and they're having fun. I've got nothing against the way that they do anything. Let me make that clear. But if you play slow, you play against people that are less enthusiastic generally, maybe less developed with rosters, maybe less skilled. They just don't care as much or whatever. And so that was my strategy, is just to play slow. And I squeezed every little bit out of my Elder's Mark. So I started 27-0 in the victory track, and I went 38 matches total without losing. So I got in the victory track, or the Gladiator Circuit, won a handful, got up to 170 points, and then I started, quote, farming. And you might say, well, what's the quotes? I would play matches. Oh, and here, by the way, this was my 7-star reward from getting the shards from the solo 450,000 milestone or whatnot, or I guess it was a little 400,000, and I got Silver Surfer. Love this dude, and you're gonna see some videos, and they're gonna be playing in the background about how good he was. But then I just started farming, and how did I farm? And I didn't have anything. I didn't change anything in my deck. I would just use my energy and test things. One of the things I tested was this dude, Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer is like my favorite cosmic champ to play. Is he the best champion? I would say no, but he is no slouch. And in this meta, he doesn't take the shock. He doesn't take shock or incinerate debuff damage. And for each shock or incinerate, which incinerates aren't really going to come into play in any of these matches, but the shocks from the hazard shift are treated as a unique buff and amp up his damage like crazy. And there you go. We just took out an Attuma in 42 seconds. Fairly healthy, pretty solid. But so I was just testing. I was testing out stuff, and I was testing out crazy stuff like this. Like, there's gonna be some times where the draft just does not go your way, and you don't have a solid counter to use against some champs, and you gotta try some stuff. And when I was trying some things in my test rounds, and in my test rounds I would generally lose, not all the time, but I would generally lose, and I would generally actually try to give the opponent the upper hand with what I drafted, and then with what I placed on attack or on defense. You might be like, well, why would you do that? I'm like, well, it's kind of the same strategy with playing it slow in the victory track. Is, if you're playing in the lower part of the Gladiator Circuit, you're generally playing against, not that anybody's bad, but the least talented, the least developed rosters, the rosters that maybe aren't the best for the meta. You're playing against those type of summoners. And so if you can stick around there towards the bottom, then you can generally get easier matchups. Not always, because there might be other people that are doing the same thing that I was doing. There might be people that played slower, or there might be people that just went on a terrible losing streak in the circuit and they tanked all the way down with no intent of doing so. There's a bunch of different things that can happen. There we go. Dragonman got nuked in 36 seconds with Surfer. Now, not very healthy, because he got that degen from the armor break, but worked okay. That was a test round. Obviously, I wasn't going to win that against a Void on a Tactic Champ. And here's a nice little display of Surfer against Future Antman. Future Antman can be super annoying, and do get clipped a little bit. And none of these, or not all of these fights are going to be like perfect fights. I'm not a perfect player. I make plenty of mistakes, like that one. Luckily, I didn't have the power detonation up, or that. Otherwise, that would have hurt big time. But you can see, like, Surfer, he is putting out the hurt. You do kind of have to play around the bleed phase, particularly if the opponent has like deep wounds and stuff. But there you go. I beat a Void. I nuked that Future Antman pretty good. Here's a Fury. This was my best Fury one. I have several examples of a lot of these fights, and pretty much the Surfer fights were really the only ones that I recorded this season, with the exception to a few others. But I don't know. He was just fun. So hopefully this gives you an idea of what Surfer can do, and he's just fun. You have to be on your feet and on your toes to be able to keep up his damage and everything. He's not just like a Hercules where you just start smashing, and not that Hercules doesn't have any skill involved. I know he has some, but he takes a lot of the thought process out of fighting. Surfer is the exact opposite. Like, if you want to excel with him, you got to be on the ball and be able to phase specials, phase at the right times, and there's some setup required and everything. But here's a Nick Fury. I think this is only a rank 4 Nick Fury, so it's not like a rank 5 or anything like that. But at the same time, boom, he was dead in just over a minute. It's a pretty solid score. Beat a Valak into Kingpin. Pretty cool. So overall, I ended up playing 223 matches this season. 85 were matches with Elder's Marks, so that was 7,650 Elder's Marks that I used. Here we're going to phase and get the armor up first on this Havok, so that we don't take the detonation bursts when we get to 10 plasmas. And I did 138 matches with energy, which is approximately 30 refills worth. Now granted, I didn't use 30 refills. I used a lot of my energy, but I did use a number of refills. But I use a lot of the free energy that you get. And yeah, so in the victory track, I was 27-0 with my Elder's Marks. In the Gladiator Circuit, I was 52-6 with my Elder's Marks. So out of the 85 matches that I played with Elder's Marks, I only lost 6 of those. And then I did 92 matches with energy that were, I was considering my energy test / farm matches, and I was 24-68. And then at the very end, when I was trying to push up in the Gladiator Circuit as high as possible, I was using energy and intentionally trying to win and do the best I could with the drafting and all that kind of stuff. And that I was 27-19. So yeah, we have a bunch of fights here with Surfer just putting in some work. Most of them that are being showcased, I actually win, but some of them are close and respectable showings. But Indestructible, I should have turned that off before I threw that special too. But you can see, like, even with that mishap, we're still gonna take this guy down. I think it actually comes pretty close towards the end, maybe. And we want as many shocks on us as possible. I think here we just go for it, because he's not throwing, and we're just like, okay, we're gonna go for it, slow our combo, and burst him down. Almost a full yellow bar, 48,000. We beat a Morbius into Mojo. It's not too shabby. Not too shabby there. So yeah, I mean, for Battlegrounds, you know, I just try to treat it like arena. And what I mean by that is I just try to make my time that I put in as efficient as possible. I'm not going for the best rewards. I'm not going for celestial rank, and with my roster, it's difficult to get up there as it is. Not that my roster is terrible, but once I don't wail out, like the number of rank 5s and rank 2s, once you get up into like Quantum and Mysterium and Celestial, like, it's just, the rosters are stacked. Let's just say that they're stacked, and mine is definitely not stacked. For the Gladiator Circuit meta, I actually really enjoyed it. I did have a solid roster. I had a ton of Mystics and a ton of Science champs to put in. I have a ton of Mystic 7-stars, and so that really helped defensively. And then my tactic for trying to be successful was to ban any attacker that was tactic that they had that I didn't. And that generally was like a Silk or a Photon or a Hulk, something like that, and I would ban them. And if they had similar attackers as me, and I didn't have 3 that tactic attackers that I didn't ban, then I would end up banning like a Ghost or a Havok or something like that could nuke down some fights. Surfer absolutely destroying that iDoom. Beautiful. And yeah, it worked out pretty well. Obviously, it doesn't work out all the time, and you lose some. You know, you slip up, the other person plays great. For that one, I was kind of trolling. I threw my Titanium on defense in round 1. Yeah, Surfer did good. Here's a Kitty. But yeah, Surfer is just a lot of fun, and I think there are so many people that have this guy at rank 5 and they don't use him, and it's fair enough. Not everybody is everybody's cup of tea. Like, I'm not a Ghost user. I don't have Ghost in my deck. I have Ghost at rank 2 as a 6-star. Never user. And but the funny thing is, you know, I won a lot of fights messing around with Surfer, and not once did anybody ever draft a Surfer against me and use him for anything, attack or defense. I don't think I saw a Surfer on the other side at all. And yeah, this ending wasn't as good as I would have hoped. Kept on just taking blocked hits, and I felt like, I don't know, maybe couldn't take my finger off the screen to get into a combo. But yeah, never saw him once. Every once in a while, people would ban him. I mean, I probably got maybe a half a dozen Silver Surfer bans on my side. That guy, he tried to time out. Just don't do that. That's dumb. That guy's name was I Don't Play, and that's exactly what he did. He didn't play. He just paused and tried to see if he'd get more points because he thought I was going to die to that kitty. Yep, no thanks. Here we got a duped 7-star Killmonger. I really like one of my favorites to counter with Killmonger is Surfer. Obviously, there's like CGR and stuff like that, and I know CGR is good, but Surfer's just more fun. It's just more fun. That's just how it is. And check this out. If we can get as many of those shocks as possible while in that shock phase, we just do massive amounts of that burst damage. And I think we're gonna try to finish it off here. We're gonna wait out the bleed. I think we just go for it. Yep, full yellow bar. That dude didn't have deep wounds, or maybe he did. I have higher health. We beat out a torch nuked that Spidey in 27 seconds, but lost some health. So yeah, my approach to Battlegrounds probably very different than most that you see and hear about on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But here's a Maw. Surfer's not a great counter to begin with, and if my buffs expire, which the power cosmic and the phase from turning that into a buff, those are going to expire. He's going to go unstoppable quite a bit. He can nullify my fury. There he goes unstoppable. This fight is like kind of a nightmare. There we have, I don't know what buff fell off, but something fell off and he goes unstoppable. But then right here, no, we should have gone before that and not got all those bleeds, but getting some decent damage going. Need him to throw. There we go. We're gonna get faltered. We don't have our vigilance up. We're gonna get special 2. Give us some shocks. And we got just out of the shock phase. But like even this fight, like nobody would want to take on Maw with. And there I hit into the falter miss. Took a bunch of health. But nobody would want to do this fight. But I keep getting faltered. Surfer does the work, gets him down. Not fast. And we beat a Kingpin. I know Kingpin can do Spidey because I've done that fight. We get a W there. And then here's an Omega Sentinel. Like a lot of times I would draft Surfer and I don't know, just people ignored him. And certain champs they would put down on defense thinking that they would do well, or maybe I would just suck with Surfer, which it can be easy to do. I'm not the best player, and I did not win every fight that I played with Surfer. There are some mess up ones, but yeah, this Omega Sentinel is gonna be roasted here in just a second with a special 2 with shocks. There she goes. It's like 40 seconds, 37 seconds. That's a good score. 51, almost 52,000. Beat out a Nebula. Nebula was good for this meta. I didn't have her in my deck. I only have her as a rank 3. But anyways, hopefully I just want to give a different perspective on Battlegrounds. I'm, the alliance that I'm in, X-Men, Astonishing X-Men. I like the alliance simply because it's pretty chill, decent rewards for the effort, not a lot of expectations. I don't want to say that negatively, but we're not like shooting for high tier war we have reasonable prestige, and we try to do decently in Battlegrounds, and you know, all around, like without a lot of pressure about anything, I felt like the rewards that I was able to get was good as a solo player and as part of the team. So and it's just kind of nice. I'm just chilling. Here we got a Shuri. I know Shuri can be quite annoying, but guess what? Surfer, he can put in some work. Now, if they have deep wounds and whatnot, like those bleeds can put in some hefty damage. So you gotta be gotta be patient in the bleed phase. But once that bleed phase is up and you have the shock phase, hopefully you can get a bunch of shocks to proc on you so you get some extra damage there. We only got one. But we're just going to be patient and refresh our buffs. Phase some specials, which is always fun. And too bad she didn't put any shocks on us. And there she goes. So not as clean, not as fast, but that was still decent. Almost 48k. 69 seconds. Putting in some work. So yeah, let me know how you guys do. Here's a Korg. This one is unawakened, so it does make this fight significantly easier, but I know Korg can be annoying just as he is. An awakened Korg with Surfer I tried several times. I took several down, and I also died several times. It just really depends on how the rock stacks chew up your armors and all that kind of stuff, and if you can get them down or not, and if you get your intercepts or your drop backs and all that kind of stuff. But and if your heavies don't get thorn damaged, because you have the rock stacks down. But this Korg, 7-star Korg, it's got a lot of health, and I'm gonna get him in just a second. We're kind of waiting out the bleed phase, trying to just do as minimal hits so we take less bleed damage. But yeah, so next time there's a hazard shift node with shock or incinerate, or if it's, heaven forbid, both, then Surfer is gonna be king. Hazard shift, incinerate, and shock, Surfer is an excellent option for almost all champs, not obviously everybody. And then here, that was my last Surfer fight. I'm just gonna show off 2 fights. This one I thought I had lost, and because the other opponent had Ghost, and he threw down his Void, and I had misplayed the draft, where I thought I was going to win in the prior match, and I messed up. And I didn't really have an option for Void to not take just massive amounts of damage. But as you know, Korg is both bleed and shock immune. And I used him on attack a couple times, not very many. But whenever you can use a Korg and you can beat Ghost in a hazard shift fight, that's always fun. Now granted, my opponent, nothing against this guy, Job Raylan, he was fighting against a tactic champ, which can also be extremely annoying when your buffs fall off and stuff like that, and they get the unstoppable. So, but it's always fun to be, you know, one of the better so-called champs in the game with a Korg. And so this was a long fight, and I probably, if I would have done this different, I would have gone for special 3 twice. I went for special 2 and whatnot, and it didn't do as much. But this special 3, and then once I get the armor break on, Korg starts hitting really hard, because he's at 40% with 20 seconds left, and I'm like, crap, I'm not gonna kill this guy. I am not gonna kill this guy. But boom, we get him with a heavy 16k, and now we're gonna start cooking with some damage, and we get the relic in there, and full combo, boom. last hit, last second, we kill him, and we beat Ghost. But yeah, good job to that dude. And then the last, I do have one more Surfer fight, but I had already posted it, but it's on this video as well. But my last non-Surfer fight that I wanted to do was this Thing into Void. Thing is also shock and bleed immune. He's not fast, but he can do certain fights like this where it's like, if you do not have a solid counter, you're just going to either die or you're going to take just massive amounts of health lost. So I'm just going to try to manage the combo, try not to take as much of the Intimidating Presence debuff damage, and just try to smash this dude down. You see there I'm waiting out the Intimidating Presence to pop up. We can purify it. And yeah, Thing, he's not going to be super fast, but he can be tanky, he can be reliable, he can do some stuffs. Need this guy to throw a special. That would be nice. There we go. And there I take a hit to the face, unfortunately. And I think we're just gonna go for it. Not in Assassin's range there. Now we're in Assassin's range. But yeah, let me know how you guys did in Battlegrounds. Who was your MVPs? Who did you hate fighting against? There we go. We beat a Bishop into Korg. And then here's my last fight. I've already shared this one. This was earlier on, and you know, I was testing, and I was like, I know Surfer. I've dueled and messed around with Surfer against Doom many a times, and have done well. But you know, he can get that Doom slap on you, and with the shocks active. And here I'm waiting out the bleeds. But yeah, Surfer, he's just good. He's just good. And I think we end up taking this fight with like a full yellow bar, pushing him to the special 2s so that we don't get any of our buffs nullified from the aura. And yeah, we're gonna get him in just a second. Going to the relic, special 2. We need some shocks. Boom, dead. And there we go. So those are all the fights I'm gonna share today. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you had a successful season and got some solid rewards. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.